Good morning to all respective participants. My name is Marta Warta Silaban, and I am the lecturer in LSPR. It is a pleasure for me to be the MC and moderator for today's LSPR Omni session. First of all, I would like to say welcome to our honorable guest speaker for today, Professor Marco Polo. Hello, Professor.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. How are you, Prof?
Oh, hi. We're okay. We were spared by the typhoon, but it hit central and southern Philippines. I am here in Luzon Island, so in the northern part. But we are responding. There's a lot of damage, so we are on our relief efforts have started.
Okay. I hope the situation will be fine.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you, Prof. And to all Londoners who are participating in this webinar session with topic Global Media, Past, Present, and Prospects. Before we start our session for today, I would like to kindly request for our participant to turn on your camera and also mute your microphone throughout the discussion period. You could put your questions in the chat box, and we will discuss it in the Q&A session after the presentation of our honorable speaker. LSPR Omni is LSPR's initiative to balance the students' online and offline academic learning in addressing the new normal environment. LSPR Omni is similar to LSPR Lecturer Exchange Program. However, due to travel restrictions, we wanted to continue the implementation by making this available online. This is a great opportunity for LSPR students to broaden their knowledge and gain an international perspective of communication, where LSPR Omni enables LSPR students in taking learning beyond borders. And now, please allow me to give a short background about our valuable speaker for today. Marco M. Polo is an associate professor at the Communication and Journalism Department and director for University Advancement at the La Salle University, Das Marinas. He is a former two-term national president of the Philippine Association of Communication Educators. He is also a member of the Board of Management of the Asian Media Information Research and Marco to start our session. The screen is now yours, Professor Marco. Please.
Terima kasih, Ma'am Marta.
Sama-sama. Ya, you're welcome.
Halo dan hari baik untuk semua oranggi. Terima kasih telah mengundang saya sekali lagi untuk kuliah Omni bersama LSPR ini. Sino din smile.
Good in bahasa ya.
Saya merasa terhormat diberi kesempatan lain untuk berbagi dan belajar dengan Anda. Biarkan saya sekarang beralih ke bahasa Inggris untuk presentasi saya. So my apologies if my bahasa is broken, but I try my best to speak it if I have an Indonesian audience. Jakarta in Indonesia is a place I have visited many times in the past, and that's why I make an effort to learn your language. I have a lot of friends there, and we've had students coming to my university actually to study from the different schools there, from as far as Yogyakarta, Samarang, and hopefully in the future we will have students from LSPR coming to my university. We also hope to send our students to your school. Okay, so thank you. Dear friends and colleagues. Heidi is also here. Congratulations on your graduation. So let me go to my presentation. And Please bear with the time that I am going to be with you. I hope that this is going to be a learning and sharing session for both of us. So it is not just me learning, it is also you sharing. So my presentation, as introduced, is entitled Global Media and Communication, Past, Present, and Prospects. I have my email there in case you want to get in touch with me for matters related to this presentation. So I will be sharing a PDF copy of my presentation to the international office so that it can be shared to the students who attend today. Can anyone tell me who this person is? He's probably somebody that you know. You've seen him on television. And our topic is about related to what he does. No? Of course, he is a weather reporter, reporting the situation somewhere there in Indonesia, in the archipelago of Indonesia. So every day we are exposed to people who try to tell what's going to happen next. And the most common of those will be our weather forecasters, or some of them are actually scientists. No? We call them meteorologists. So they try to predict when is it going to rain, when is the sun going to go up and down. So that's something that's happening very constantly. Also in economics, if you have taken up your economic subjects, you know that economists also predict and try to tell what will be the situation in the future of the economy of a country. Here on this chart, you will see the forecast of Bloomberg, which is an international trading company. And they surveyed executives in the region and asked them what is their prospect in terms of the upgrade for the different ratings of different economies in the regions. As you can see, Malaysia has a very high prediction. My own country has a very small 0.1% increase in upgrade. However, for Indonesia, it's a negative 0.01. But of course, this is a forecast. Now, whether it's going to happen or not, we will see next year when the data actually comes in, when the different indicators are able to tell the actual picture. So another way of discussing this topic is that every day we watch in the news, we hear about it, it is reported widely about what will be the situation in the future. What does the future hold for us? What will happen tomorrow, next week, next month? Are you curious to find out what's going to happen next? This curiosity has prompted a lot of individuals and institutions to study the future, to try to predict the future. How about you, my dear students? What is the future in store for you? My presentation today will cover some key concepts, trends, forecasting, futurology, global media, global communication. So we're going to discuss what these concepts are. Then I will be presenting 3 case studies to discuss what is the situation of global media in the past, how accurate are forecasts. Next, we're going to discuss what is the situation right now. So the case studies I'm going to share are from very recent data. Some of them was only released actually last month. And then what is the prospect next year? So I am also going to share some resources of some organizations that are making very bold predictions about 2022 and also beyond. So going back to the weather report and going back to, in Indonesia, I'm not too sure about it. Is fortune telling something big, Martha? Like, is fortune telling something that people engage into? Miss Martha?
Yes, Prof. Fortune telling?
Is fortune telling something that is practiced in Indonesia? Are there people who try to predict the future?
Yeah. Sometimes people go to fortune telling.
Yeah, to try to tell.
What happened next year to them?
Am I getting married next year? Will I get rich? Should I start a business? No, so here in the Philippines, it's influenced by many cultures, by the Chinese, by the Indians, by other Middle Eastern cultures that brought in the belief of looking into the stars, looking into the cards and all that. No? But that is not what we're going to talk about today. But I'm going to do a short survey. Okay, we're going to take about 3 minutes or 3 to 5 minutes to do this. Okay, so I'm going to ask the students if you can open another tab in your device or in your cell phone. Please go to slido.com. Again, please go to slido.com and then copy the code here. Enter the code 549606. Okay, so I'm going to start the Slido and I have a few questions. I actually only have 2 questions there that I would like you to answer. And then we're going to see what your answers are. Okay, so you can take a screenshot of this or write down on a piece of paper the code. Please go to slido.com. Okay, I'm going to share my other screen so that we can go to that short survey that I'm going to run using Slido. Okay. So it's an active poll already. So please go to Slido now. If you can see Slido. Okay, so please join us in Slido. If you could see the future, what would you like to know? Okay, so we are now seeing some of the students answering. So there are about 90, almost more than 100 students. So, okay, let's wait for people to submit their answers. So this is a word cloud. So the bigger the words, the more often you are mentioning it. So that's okay. There are no right or wrong answers. We're just asking for your opinion. So let's give everyone like 1 more minute to answer. Okay, so I hope that that the LSPR International Office, the teachers who are here are looking at the answers of the students. Many are concerned about their future, their career. Okay, my future career. Am I happy? Other answers, when will I get married? World peace. Okay, what would you like to know? Will there be world peace? Will there be technological advancements? Will I be successful? Will I be rich and happy? Will I get married? Who will be my future husband or wife? Probably. My lifestyle. Okay. Thank you. So this is the first one. I have another one. Okay, thank you. Terima kasih for those who answered. The second question is, if you could see the future, what would you do? If you know what was going to happen in the future, what will you do? You can type your answers now. So this is the next question. Okay, okay, okay. Let's wait for the responses to come in. Again, there are no right or wrong answers. Just submit your response, well, as what you feel and what you think. Your top of mind is to the question. Okay. Okay, we're getting a lot of responses. We'll give you 1 more minute for everyone to answer. And then we'll just go through some of the answers. Okay. Okay. Again, don't be afraid to answer. The answers are anonymous. We will not know who you are or which one is your answer here, but we appreciate your sharing your answers to the question. So if you could see the future, what would you do? Okay, let's now go to the answers. I will prepare, help many people, being a better person. I would rather not know. Okay, interesting. Trying to be a better, nothing, glad to know. I'll run away, protect everyone. If it's bad things, I try to fix it from now. It is what it is. Okay, I will prepare the risk. Prepare everything from now. I could change the time. I'd like to change my habit, work harder, improving my life to get my future. Avoid all the bad things would happen. Anxious, just go with it. Work hard. Be careful what will happen. Work towards for better or worse. Set goals. I will always still doing my best in the present time. Change it for the better. I better not see it because it would change the future in some way. Making TikTok videos. Change a bad thing that can affect my life in the future. Keep on chasing my dreams. Live the same but better. Prepare. Cherish every second. I want to make money. Chasing me. I don't know. Okay. Thank you so much for your answers to this. As you can see, there's a wide range of answers. A lot have something to do that they want to prepare for the future, or you want to do something now that will affect the future. There are a few that are anxious or are not too concerned about what's going to happen tomorrow. That's okay. But in essence, if we knew what could happen tomorrow, or what would happen tomorrow, shouldn't we be doing something better today, right? If you could do something better, why wait for tomorrow? Try to do it now. Try to start being the change. Start improving yourself, improving your relationships with others, and contribute towards a better tomorrow. Because what we do today will affect our tomorrow, all of us. Okay? So thank you so much, Tarik Makasi, dear students, for your participation in that short activity on the future. Now, the future is a very interesting topic because, you know, some say the future doesn't exist because the future is now. There's no such thing as future because there's only the past and the present. So scientists, religious leaders, and many other people have tried to tackle the concept of the future. But in our discipline, no, business and communication, we need to understand that there are specific practices that goes into looking into what's going to happen today, tomorrow, and even in the past. I hope it's all right with the students. Ma'am Marta, I'm going to call some of them for them to read some of the slides so we can hear them also. So when I call you, some of the students, if you can please read, okay, some of the items that you will see on screen.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So
that's a good idea.
Yes. When we talk about trends, I'm going to go first. When we talk about trends or media trends, they refer to a trend appearing in different media channels or platforms. Media trends may infer or may mean identifying trends based on a pattern in terms of information, content, new methods, and innovations in spreading media content. The definition of a media trend may have implications or associations with the following concepts and terms. So take note. First, when we identify media trends, or when an organization identifies media trends, their purpose normally is to help them make informed decisions in their business. Okay? They want to make better decisions for their organizations. It may have implications on how they will market their products and services, or they want to have competitive advantage over their different rivals, social media intelligence, and many other strategic business objectives. So when you look into trends, it's supposed to help you guide you in your decision making. It can link you to emerging trends that can be used as an opportunity, especially in the ever-changing, I call the term media sphere or media landscape. Okay. Using media trends is also important for strategic foresight and futurology. We will define futurology later. Also, in analyzing media trends, we look at it from the perspective of like the organization, the media consumer, the audience, and different elements of our target audiences. So that's what what trends mean. Okay. Next, let's go into forecasting. May I request Janice to read the first item? Janice?
The process of making predictions based on past and present data, and most commonly by analysis of trends. A commonplace example might be estimation of some variable, is it correct, of interest at some specified future date. Prediction is a similar but more general term.
Okay, thank you, Janice. So forecasting from the definition here, it has many applications. Okay. Next, I'd like to request Aliva to read the next one. Aliva.
A technique that uses historical data as inputs to make informed estimates that are predictive in determining the direction of future trends. Organizations utilize forecasting to determine how to allocate their budgets or plan for anticipated expenses for an upcoming period of time.
Okay. So it has a lot of benefits for any organization or even for individuals because it helps us plan. It helps us anticipate what are the things we need to prepare for. Okay. Next, we have Eugene. Eugene, please read the last one.
Forecasting allows organizations to set reasonable and measurable goals based on current and historical data. Having accurate data and statistics to analyze helps organizations to decide what amount of change, growth, or improvement will be determined as a success.
Okay, thank you, Eugene. So when we know of certain forecasts that are being made that will affect the organization, we can make adjustments. We can make modifications in our plans, our strategies, the allocation of resources. So this is a very important component of strategic planning to look into forecasts. Okay. Now the next concept, well, I just have some examples here with respect to how forecasting has evolved. Okay. Even in ancient times, many cultures and societies have already embarked on wondering or asking, they've asked the question, what's going to happen tomorrow? How can we better prepare for it? In the early days, they would look at nature. Okay. They would look at how animals behave. They would look at how natural occurrences take place. They will look at the stars and they will be able to predict, okay, because of this information, we can say that this is what's going to happen. And from the medieval times, they developed different methodologies to try to help them understand better, no? From telling time, telling dates, telling when the weather is going to change. There have been many applications. But when the Renaissance happened, more disciplines came into formality. You have math, science, and other applied sciences. And then in the 18th to the 20th centuries, the discipline of statistics, which is of course based on mathematics, was also developed by a lot of scholars. They use mathematical models to try to predict what's going to happen if a certain scenario takes place. If you're doing your thesis, some of you might be doing this. You might be doing experiments. You might need to do a hypothesis. You might do some statistical analysis. In the Second World War, which is a very important occurrence in history, many countries, especially those who were involved in the war, developed a lot of technologies to try to anticipate what can happen in the future. And then in the late 20th century, you have predictive analytics, something that is now being used today. For example, if you look into, if you have there a shopping site like Shopee, no? You're looking at this new cell phone you want to buy next year, but you didn't buy it. And then you look into your news feed. Either if you have Facebook, Instagram, or even TikTok, you suddenly see all of the cell phone advertisements coming into your feed. That is the effect of predictive analytics because you showed interest in this particular product. The algorithms, the analytics behind all of these social media accounts is now trying to convince you to change your mind or to buy this product. So it has become a very, very big business, a very, very big discipline. You know, data science, the mother discipline of all of this right now, which is related to information science, information technology, has grown by leaps and bounds because they look at present data and they can predict now our behavior. Just look at a lot of the examples in terms of how social media has influenced our lifestyle. Many of these are not accidental. They are intentional. They are driven by science. They are driven by data. So what we do now, companies can now predict what are you going to do next. Amazing, but also scary at the same time. That's why we must use these technologies responsibly, because there is a huge ecosystem behind it and it can be manipulated. Okay. So the next concept is futurists and futurology. Okay. So futurist, may I request Guru to read this one?
Okay, so futurists, people whose specialty or interest is futurology, or the attempts to systematically explore predictions and possibilities about the future and how they can emerge from the present, whether that of human society in particular or of life on Earth in general. Also known as futurologists, prospectivists, foresight practitioners, and horizon scanners.
Okay. So there are people who are self-declared, self-proclaimed, or they're considered as futurists because they like to study the future. They're very curious and interested. What is going to happen in the immediate or even in the long-term time ahead of us? Others before would think that these people were crazy, but actually futurist is a discipline. If you try to look for people like James Naisbitt or Alvin Toffler, there are two examples of futurists that I know and admire, and they were able to really predict many of the things that are happening right now. Alvin Toffler, for example, he wrote a book called The Third Wave and Future Shock in the early 90s. And if you look back at his literature, at the books that he wrote, many of those things are happening right now. Okay? So it's a very interesting discipline. Next, may I request Putri Pramesti? Can you read the next one?
The futurology, the systematic, interdisciplinary, and holistic study of social and technological advancement and other environmental trends, often for the purpose of exploring how people will live and work in the future.
Okay, so it is not guesswork. You know, those who study futurology, it's really a very rigorous discipline because they need to do a lot of research. They need to do a lot of analysis of a lot of data for them to be able to come up with what is called scientific predictions or predictions that are based on science. Okay. So as foundational concepts, it's important for us to understand this. Now let me explain that, as I said, it is not a quack science, because in forecasting, they apply the scientific method. Those who are into trending, forecasting, futurology, they apply also what we're studying or what you're studying in your research subjects. They apply qualitative and quantitative methods. Okay. Delphi method is a process in which you consult experts. You send them a questionnaire. They respond, you process, and then you tell them this is the opinion of the different experts that are consulted. You send the questionnaire again and tell them, do you agree? And then if there are disagreements, you process. So it's going back and forth. It's from an old Greek method of trying to get expert opinion. But the most common methods now are market surveys, okay, and executive opinion. So market survey is you send a questionnaire using Google Form, Survey Planet, Survey Monkey, or sometimes they send it to you a copy in a form in a printed format. Friend, can you answer this? Or sometimes you encounter this in public places, or they will send you an email or in social media. They try to get your opinion on certain things. Then you have the executive opinion. These are from the C-level, or what you call the management, middle to top management of companies. They're normally asked about their opinions about certain things or about what's going to happen in the future. The fourth most common qualitative process or method would be the Salesforce composite. What this means is you look into sales data. You use different applications to look into the behavior of people when they make purchases of goods and services. And from here, you will be able to say, okay, this month, the most popular items are, and there's a pattern. Every December, a lot of people would like to buy stuff like this. Or the months that many people are not shopping are like this. So maybe we should have campaigns to promote buying behavior or consumer behavior. Then you have quantitative forecasting methods. Quantitative methods include time series models. So what this means is that you apply certain parameters, either on a controlled or experimental environment, to see how people will behave. Okay. Many companies and organizations now are using artificial intelligence. They are using, for example, analytics of social media pages. Whenever you click something, it sends data, and it's being processed by computational machines to try to determine your behavior. And then there are also associative models that are being used to be able to capture data from our activities and behaviors. This can be done individually or collectively as a community or even as a country. Okay, so these are some of the forecasting methods. Another way of representing this is this one. Okay, so on the left side, you have the quantitative methods. You have naive approach, moving averages, exponential smoothing, trend projection. If you're studying economics, these are concepts that you will encounter to try to measure statistically the behavior of markets, the behavior, for example, of the stock market, the behavior of the bond market, etc. Then you have the qualitative models, as I mentioned, similar to what I have in the other previous slide. You may be wondering, why is a survey qualitative and not quantitative, for example? Actually, the answer there is it can be both. But in consumer surveys, remember, you can include open-ended questions. When the moment you include open-ended questions, it's already qualitative. Because you're going to ask your customer, how was your experience today? Then they're going to give you their feedback. That's already qualitative data. But again, I would agree that qualitative data can also be converted into quantitative data. But there should be no debate there. What we're saying here is that both methods are being used in forecasting. Next. So let's go to talk about now global media. Okay. So when we talk about global media, may I request Mona Lisa to read the first one? Mona Lisa.
Okay. Global media refers to form of mass communication that reach across the world. Today, that includes everything from traditional media such as TV, radio, and newspaper to social media like YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook.
Okay, thank you, Mona Lisa. So I think this is something that you're, of course, very familiar with. Okay. Next, we have Nabila. Please read the next two.
Yes. So the communication through the media on a worldwide platform. And the next one is the media have an important impact on cultural globalization in two mutually interdependent ways. Firstly, the media provide an extensive transnational transmission of cultural product. And secondly, they contribute to the formation of communicative network and social structure.
Okay. We have local media in Indonesia. You have a lot of local media channels and networks there. But some of them are also global, meaning their messages, their signals can be broadcast, can be shared in other parts of the world. Likewise, or corollary to that, in Indonesia, you also receive a lot of these messages from international media companies. Who doesn't know BTS, for example, right? Who doesn't know some popular artists from Western countries, like musicians like Taylor Swift, football teams in the European League? They became popular because global media was able to introduce them to us. But the third point here that you see on the screen, we have to be very careful also, because media can influence our culture. And if we are not careful, it might affect our culture negatively. It might introduce concepts, practices that are against our own cultural practices and beliefs, and it might erode our society. So we need to be very careful with that. Okay. Next, the last item here in the definitions of the many concepts is global communication. Okay. May I request Chevalier to read the first one? Chevalier.
Sure. An interdisciplinary field focusing on global communication or the ways that people connect, share, relate, and mobilize across geographic, political, economic, social, and cultural divides.
Okay, thank you. So it's interdisciplinary. It's not just communication per se. You also have here psychology, you have business, you have international relations, you have sociology, you have political science, economics. There are many disciplines that affect and influence the practice and discipline of global communication. Next, may I call Jennifer, Cecilia? Jennifer? Jennifer, if you're not there, I'd like to call Amelia Agustin. Amelia?
The development and sharing of information through verbal and non-verbal messages in international settings and contexts.
Okay, thank you. So it's something that is a phenomena that is constantly happening. Okay. Finally, Nicholas Andrew.
Global communication is directly affected by the process of globalization and helps to increase business opportunities, remove cultural barriers, and develop a global village. Both globalization and global communication have changed the environmental, cultural, political, and economic elements of the world.
Okay, so remember, there is a distinction and difference between global media and global communication. Global communication is actually the broader concept, because under communication, you would have media. Media as an institution, as a channel, as an enterprise, as a platform. But global communication is something that is constantly happening in different ways, whether it is interpersonal, whether it is in group, whether it is in a community, or through media channels, through mass media, through computer-mediated channels, among others. The fact here, for example, here in LSPR, Indonesia is not a unicultural country. You come from many cultures. You have a very diverse culture. No? So many different dialects, so many different cultural groups where you come from. That in itself, you have intercultural differences and intercultural features, but they make you also unique as a country, because you also have your, of course, the idea of being a united country, despite your many differences in many ways. Like in the Philippines, we speak also many dialects. We also have a lot of people with different cultural influences and backgrounds. If you have any questions in any of the things that I'm sharing today, as I mentioned earlier, you can type it in the chat box, or if you have a comment, you can leave a comment. Now, I want to emphasize this point for everyone. In the next slides after this, you will be seeing some data, some statistics, some statements. Whenever you are presented with a document, with a presentation, with a report that contains something that talks about whether it's the past, the present, or the future, we call them media text, okay? These are some key questions that I want you to consider, okay? So this is something that is related to an advocacy of mine called media and information literacy, okay? So these are some key questions that you need to ask, or you should ask whenever any information is shared with you, including the ones I'm going to present later. Who made the report or document? If you know the source, if you know the author, that can also affect our assessment and judgment of the material. Next, why was this material created? Why was it produced? What is the purpose of the author, whether it's an individual or a group, creating this material? Okay. Third is what information was included. What information was also excluded. There is no report, no document that can say it contains everything. It is never complete. Even the internet does not contain everything. Not everything is on the internet. What is not on the internet, for example? There are many other things that are not things, persons, activities, events that are not on the internet. So whenever you're presented with content, consider also the coverage. Okay, so that is the third question. The fourth is what techniques were used to create this report? So did they use visual elements? Did they use music to set the mood? Did they use any elements and components that made you more curious, more interested? Or was it very boring, not too easy to read? It is very complicated. So this construction of the media text is important because you also need to understand what will make your message clear. How can we communicate clearer? The fifth question is, how might other people, different from me, understand this report? Whenever you watch a movie, you listen to music, no? Or you ask your classmates here, do you like the same things? We do not, right? We have our own preferences. Some of us like K-pop, some of us do not. Some of us like Anggun, some of us do not. Some of us like a particular football team, some of us do not. Some of us like badminton, some of us do not. We don't have the same preferences for everything. So whenever you're presented with something, you also need to consider how might other people who are different from me understand this? When you watch a horror movie, not everyone is scared. There are people who laugh and you wonder why. Or when you're watching a drama, not everyone is crying. Some people just don't care or they're not affected. That is an effect of media. It doesn't generate the same effect for all of us. The last question is, what do I think of this report? When you're presented with data, try to reflect, try to be critical. Do not take everything, oh, this is absolutely true. Because it's easy now to create information that is not true. That's why we need to be very, very critical consumers and even creators of media right now. Because we live in a time, not just in COVID, but there's also what you call an infodemic. There's an information pandemic happening. A lot of misinformation and disinformation is happening. And we need to fight it as well. So how is global media being presented in the past? How accurate are forecasts? The short answer there is that it's not 100% accurate. There have been many forecasts that did not come true. There have been many forecasts that were actually disproven. Okay? It doesn't mean that it's a forecast made by the government or by a person in authority or an organization in authority that it means it's going to be true. There have been many failed forecasts in the past. Let me share some examples with you. Okay? Look at this slide. Okay? So there are a lot of things here. So let's start with the oldest one. Okay? Some very bad predictions. In 1800s, okay, the one on the upper left. My apologies if the image is not it's not very sharp. Okay. Dr. Joseph Larder, a professor of natural philosophy and astronomy in the University College of London, said that rail travel at high speed is not possible because passengers will be unable to breathe and would die of asphyxia. Of course, this is not true. But he said this in the 1800s. You remember, that was the Industrial Revolution. You know, the steam engine, the railways were really being developed. And as you know, London has one of the world's oldest railway system. You know? If you get a chance to visit London, you go to the underground or you go to their network of rail. They even have a transportation museum to showcase their history of rails and railway. In 1880, Henry Morton, the president of the Stevens Institute of Technology, said this about Thomas Alva Edison. Everyone acquainted with the subject will recognize it as a conspicuous failure. He was referring to the light bulb. He was saying it was going to fail. It was not going to succeed. There are several other things. I'm just going to talk about now the things that refer to media, okay? In 1946, Daryl Zanuck, a movie producer from 20th Century Fox, said, television won't last because people will soon get tired of staring at a plywood box every night. I don't know if any of you remember this or if you have this at home. I have it in my old house before. We have a television that looks like this. No, it's in a box. It even has a door, to close the screen. And this executive said, oh, the TV, people will get bored. But imagine now, today, how many television sets do you have at home? I can guess many of you have more than one. And we have many monitors and screens, right? In 1977, I'm just going to skip some of the items. I'm going to share it to you anyway. In 1977, Ken Olson, president and chairman and founder of Digital Equipment Corporation, said, there is no reason for any individual to have a computer in his home. He was saying, because this was the time when Intel, Microsoft announced the invention of the personal computer. And this guy said, oh, people will not buy that. Why would they buy that device? No, there's no need for it in the home. It's only for the office. But look at where we are right now. How many computers do we have at home? And, it's not just the desktop, the laptop. We have the tablets. We have our cell phones. The last one I'm going to share is in 1995, okay? And this is written by Clifford Stoll in Newsweek, a very popular magazine. I remember this 1995 because I was a college student. That was the time the internet arrived in the Philippines. In fact, my undergraduate thesis was about the internet. Clifford said, the truth is no online database will replace your daily newspaper. He was saying that the internet is a fad. It's not going to replace the newspaper. But look at where we are right now. All the newspapers of the world, all the major newspapers, they have a website. They're producing news. They're sharing the news through the internet. Many traditional newspapers are dying or are dead already, unfortunately. And the internet has become the largest repository of information. So these are some of the statements of people who were criticizing certain technological developments. And they were saying, nah, that's not going to happen, or it's not going to really change our lives. So predictions are not always, or forecasts are not always accurate and true. Okay? So let me now go here. What is the situation right now? Okay, I'm more than halfway of my presentation. If we look at the current situation of media, there is what you call an exponential growth of people who are using media, like social media. Okay, this one is from Statista. Okay, it shows you that in 2017, 2.86 billion people have a social media account. The prediction is by 2025, there will be 4.41 billion people having or using social media. And this is a very popular reference, Hootsuite. They talk about media channels. In here, they show that there are so many channels that is increasing, and you have the different statistics of the different gender differences. And then social media users around the world, it's 4.5 billion right now. And as you know, the Philippines and Indonesia, we are among the top social media users in the world. Yes, the Philippines is number one. I'm not too sure if I'm going to be proud about that. But the average Filipino is online 10 hours a day. Okay? We use the internet for 10 hours a day. We use social media for 4.5 hours a day. Okay? So 4.5 hours translates to about 260 minutes. So we're not even in the scale here because we are above the scale. No, we use it very much. We use it very often. Now, in terms of global media consumption per week, you have here the changes in the different media platforms. You have games. Let me use the pointer. I think I have an arrow here. You have games. Okay, it's growing. Wireless. The biggest is still digital TV. Okay, and the internet. Okay, in terms of the number of platforms and channels and the time we spend using them. Okay, and then This is another representation of, as you can see, gaming, digital radio, mobile is increasing. Analog TV is already declining in terms of the time we spend watching regular free television. A lot of us are watching now cable television, video on demand, Netflix, HBO, Amazon, Disney, etc. Now I'm going to share with you the situation right now based on this report. It's the Asia Pacific Communication Monitor. Just some statistics, okay? I have 3 references. Another one is from the United Nations Freedom of Expression and Media Development. And then a report from the United States from the Annenberg School of Communication. AD, how many minutes do I still have? Can you message me in the chat so I can check? How many minutes do I still have? This first report is produced by UNESCO. It was only published last November. No, it's the Freedom of Expression and Media Development Study. It's a study that they do every 5 years. Okay, and they have several interesting findings. I'm going to start calling again some of the students. So may I call Ezra to read the first one? Ezra. Ezra Putra, are you there?
Ezra, are you there?
Yeah. If Ezra cannot speak, maybe Linnea Grandisa. Linnea.
Sure.
Okay.
Linnea,
Okay.
are you there? Yeah.
Yes, she's there.
Please.
Go ahead.
Independent journalism, the kind that favors public interest over political, commercial, or factional agendas, is in peril.
Okay, it means it is in danger. Okay, this report is very, very important. Okay. The next one, I'd like to request Natasha. Natasha Miranda. Natasha, can you read the next one?
Yes, sir. The rapid erosion of business models underpinning media sustainability accelerated by the COVID-19 pandemic and the economic recession that accompanied it has future depend on an ongoing crisis in the freedom and safety of journalists around the world.
Okay, thank you. And then finally, Michelle Evelyn.
The future of independent pluralistic media, secondly, is at risk, and the global response to this challenge in the coming decade will be decisive for the survival of a democratic public
Sphere. Okay.
sphere.
Thank you, Michelle. So, this report is very important. What I'm going to do, since I know how much time I have, I will be sharing in my presentation the link to all of this because you can read it and because there's just so much to share. But the UN Secretary General talks about the importance of protecting media institutions. And then there are a lot of data that's here that is from other reputable organizations. And I invite you to go over this report. Let's look at this one, for example. In March and April 2020, a network of more than 100 fact-checking organizations and news outlets debunked as many as 1,700 false claims a month regarding COVID-19. As you know, there's a lot of misinformation about COVID-19. So this is from the Poynter Institute in the United States. So in this report, you will see a lot of data about the importance of media as an institution, okay? There's a decline in newspaper readership, newspaper production. The number of social media users, as I mentioned, has increased. Many journalists have lost their jobs. So the profession is really at risk. You have many United Nations member countries that guaranteeing public access to information. I'm not sure if Indonesia is included here. You can check. There are internet shutdowns around the world. The most common would be in countries like in India, China, North Korea. I'm not sure if there's an internet shutdown in Indonesia, but the countries I mentioned are many countries that have internet shutdowns. And then there are still many countries that have that criminalize the practice of certain journalistic activities. Okay. Next, you have 80% of state-administered media entities lack editorial independence. What does this mean? The state is dictating, they're influencing what should be published, what should be printed. No, they're interfering. Then you have 67 years. This is imagine this. It will take 67 years for the gender equality gap in traditional media to be closed. Traditional media is male dominated. So many women don't have the same opportunities as male media executives. Then you have falsehoods that is shared on Twitter, diffuse significantly farther, faster, and more broadly than the truth. Meaning lies now spread faster than the truth. Imagine that. So be careful. Think before you click. Pause before you post. And then journalistic killing. The work of journalists is still very much at risk. Then you have many women journalists surveyed, they have experienced violence in the workplace. And sadly, many journalists continue to be killed. In fact, yesterday, a media reporter in the Philippines was ambushed. He luckily survived, but there are others who did not. There are other reports here that I invite you to read in the references and resources that I will share. And then this is another report from the Annenberg School of Communication. So I'll be skipping this because in the interest of time, but I am sharing to you the content of this report. No? So please make sure that you try to go into the references. This one is a new report that was also released this year. And there are some items here that refers to Indonesia. Okay, I'm just going to go to that. I'm going to skip some of the items here, but there's a lot of data here to study. But I'm going to show you some items that mentions Indonesia. Okay, so that you have an appreciation of what this data is all about. So one item here talks about the difference or the gap between what practitioners are practicing and the need of the different practitioners in reality. Okay, so here in the upper part, competencies are heavily discussed in the communication profession in my country. Look at Indonesia, it's the lowest. It means that competency is not of the different communication disciplines is not heavily discussed as a profession. That's an important thing you need to look at. I don't know the reason why. Okay, I don't know the answer. Below, there's a great need for communication practitioners to develop their competencies. In Indonesia, again, the score is very low. I do not know why, but this is something like the LSPR should look into. Why are the professionals and practitioners have not a very strong confidence or big confidence in the competencies of their fellow practitioners? Again, I do not know the answer to that. I'm just sharing the data to you. It's something you need to look into. Okay, this is another one that mentions Indonesia. Number of days spent for personal training and development. It means how many days in a year are people in a country in the communication discipline given opportunities for training. Indonesia is doing good actually. You have 18 days, meaning in 365 days, 18 days are spent for training. Then you have 9 days that are devoted as free time for you to be able to, these are local or national holidays. So you have about 27 days for training in Indonesia. So it's about in the upper portion. Okay, very good. In fact, you're better than the Philippines. Okay. And then this one is another item I'd like to point out: ethical challenges. Indonesia's score is that ethical challenges is the average person who answered the survey has encountered several ethical challenges. Indonesia has one of the highest scores, next only to Malaysia and Vietnam. Meaning, communication practitioners in Indonesia encounter ethical challenges in the workplace many times. Okay, It means that the schools must continue to train students and develop your ethical practices. How is ethical practices being developed or protected in companies? Many have resources. You have professional organizations. You have your own school, okay? Your own schooling or your personal beliefs, okay? The score of Indonesia here is quite good, meaning that many have a lot of access to ethical resources, okay? And then what are the specific areas? I just invite you to read this one because there's a lot of data to process here, okay? In terms of participation in training, okay, look at Indonesia here. Where did people get their ethical training? Okay, 43% was during their study in college. 31% was given by their company. And then 45% was given by a professional organization. So there's a balance, okay? It's quite balanced, I would say. Okay, and then different areas and challenges that are experienced by the different practitioners, okay? So I'm gonna go into the last portions. Again, I am sharing these different resources for you to check out. Every December, many companies and organizations share their predictions for the future in terms of media and communication. These are some of the examples. I'm sharing them with you. You can check them out later to find out what are the trends. I'm just sharing 2 final reports, okay? Allow me just a little bit of an overtime. From Kantar, okay? It's a media research company. They said video streaming will dominate the market now. It will become complex, but it will evolve. Then there's the remodeling of the commercial model of the internet. Then there's a different approach now to data. Again, the report contains a lot of explanation on this. Life in a pandemic. Now, brands have adapted, they have shifted their different practices with respect to how they can deal with the pandemic. Okay. And then the other one is from Denchu. It's an advertising PR communication agency. They have 3 major predictions, or what you call here mega trends. Okay. The first mega trend is the prolonged pandemic. They're predicting that the pandemic will even go beyond 2022. Whoa, very scary. There's Omicron already in the Philippines also. Brand citizenship. Many companies will try to become more socially responsible, will try to promote green products and services. And the last one is identity. We will continue to try to develop ourselves, and our personal brands and companies will try to develop their identity so that they can connect with more people, with more customers. In closing, some implications, okay? Remember, when you go to a fortune teller and ask the fortune teller, what is my future? Do you follow what the fortune teller tells you? Oh, get married or open a business. Or when you read, I don't know, a forecast. These trends and forecasts are only guides, okay? They are only guides. They must not dictate or determine how you live your life. Second, knowing the future possibilities can encourage and motivate us to prepare better. I'm happy that many of you said, if you know what's going to happen tomorrow, you will prepare. That's very good. We live in an interconnected world, and we must think and act responsibly. Let me just show you a slide about the Nobel Peace Prize. You know, Maria Ressa has roots in Indonesia. Okay, she has Indonesian roots. And Dmitry Muratov, they're the 2 journalists awarded the Nobel Peace Prize after 80 years. We need to protect our journalists, support free media, support journalism as a profession. We can only do that if we support them, we fight with them, we hold the line with them. Because if the truth tellers will not be able to tell the truth, who's going to tell it for us? Who's going to share the truth for us? So these are the references and the links. Terima kasih. Thank you so much for the opportunity to share this presentation.
Thank you very much, Professor Marco, for that informative and interesting presentation. We will now proceed to the question and answer session in the chat box. Is there some students want to ask directly to the professor? Perhaps Eugene or Muhammad Farhan, Camelia, Jessica, Giselle, please, if you want to speak out.
If not a question, they can give a comment.
But first of all, I would like to congratulate to Maria Reza as
Yeah.
a Nobel laureate for their effort to safeguard freedom expression.
Yes.
I saw her photos in Oslo, Norway.
Yeah.
Because I have some friends in Norway, some lecturer from also met. So they share the photo with Maria Reza.
She
in
worked.
Nobel Peace
She worked there in
Center.
Jakarta for a long time. As she
Yeah.
headed CNN in Jakarta. So she really has a lot of fond memories. I know Maria personally. She has a lot of fond memories of Indonesia because of her stay there in Jakarta.
Yeah, and for your information, since I work currently as a journalist in Tempo Media Group, once Maria Reza called from Nobel Peace Center, it was at the time Maria Reza was in the discussion with my CEO Tempo Media Group, and she screamed at that time, "I got a Nobel!" So everybody screamed at the time in a virtual discussion like this in Zoom.
Yes.
So
Yes.
suddenly, a surprise for us
We
as
saw
a
that
journalist.
footage when she was informed that she won the Nobel. Yes.
Yeah, amazing, amazing.
Yes. Well, are there any
Okay.
questions from the students? Don't be shy. Okay,
Any
there's one
question
here
from students?
from Chevalier.
Oh yeah, Chevalier.
Do you think that
Yeah.
privacy would still be
Chevalier,
restricted in
do
the
you want
following
to
years?
say? Yeah.
I think he typed the question already. I will answer.
Yeah. Okay. Please, your
okay.
answer,
Yes.
Professor.
You know,
Excuse me, Putri, your
okay.
yeah.
Okay. You know, there's no such thing as privacy in the internet. Whatever you put there can be accessed by anyone. Even if you protect your identity, there is a way for people to get around that. I'm not saying you don't go online. I'm just saying that you become responsible digital citizens. You try to make sure that you protect your accounts. You include two-factor. I don't know if you know two-factor authentication. Before you can log in, it has to text you so that you can access the account. Because you know, privacy is something that many people take for granted. We have to be very careful about our digital identity, our digital presence. And that is why companies like Google, Facebook, even if they have these different security measures in place, we have to protect ourselves. We have to be very careful of not sharing, oversharing, no? Oversharing what we're doing. You know, there was a time, just a short story. People were saying, "Oh, I'm checking in the hotel, I'm checking in the airport, I'm checking here and there." You know what happened? The criminals, when they know that you're not in the house, they will steal. Because they know, oh, this person, he said he's checking in an airport, he's out. So be careful with what you share. Do not overshare. Because, you know, there are many criminal elements that might take advantage. You know, there are many quizzes in social media. They ask you, what is the name of your mother? And then you just share, oh, my mother's name is like this. Or what is the last four number of your cell phone? And then you give your answer. You know, that is giving away personal information. And it will give people a chance to steal your personal data. So be very careful of what you share online because there's no such thing as privacy online. We leave a lot of digital footprints. We also have what you call a digital shadow. So read about it, digital shadow. So you get to learn about what that concept is because we need to be very, very careful. Thank you for that question.
Yeah, thank you for your answer. Anyone? Okay,
Guru is raising his hand.
Yeah, Guru, please.
Okay, oh my God, sorry. Thank you for giving me an opportunity to ask. By the way, my voice is really right.
Yeah.
Can you hear my voice?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, okay. We can hear you, Guru.
Mabuhay, sir.
Mabuhay.
Magandang umaga.
Magandang hapon already. It's afternoon. Here.
Oh yeah, that's right. So yeah, I learned a little bit about Tagalog. So because I'm applying student exchange
Okay.
in Philippines next
Okay.
year. So yeah, and by the way, I am applying to the Lasalle University.
I
So
hope we will be able to make arrangements so that
yes,
you can
yes,
come
I
to my
really
school.
hope that I got accepted. Okay, so
Okay.
the question is, we know that how media social really changed our society and how technology have developed so much and really changed about the media. So what I really want to ask about is how did social media change the glory of television, and will television be replaced by social media? I'm going to be a journalist, and how journalists change, how journalists works change by replaced by the development of social media. Thank
Okay.
you, sir.
Terima kasih, Guru. Please be a journalist. We need new journalists. Journalism is not going to die. Journalism is evolving. I'm going to share something to you and those who are interested. Last Tuesday, my organization, AMIC, we actually hosted the World Journalism Educators Congress. They released there an international study about the future of journalism and journalism education. My short answer there is that journalism is not going to die, but it needs to evolve. We now have what you call mobile journalism, multimedia journalism. That is the scenario right now. Journalists must need to adapt. We must need to shift and use newer technologies. Television is not going to disappear, but it is going to evolve. Okay? From a one-way channel, it has now become very interactive. If you watch a television show now, it's a reality show, you can vote who can become the next candidate to win a contest because they have already made it interactive. The platform is still going to be there, but its relevance and importance is going to change. Many people now, they watch their news or they get their news from their smartphones. They watch their entertainment programs from their smartphones. But still, there are many benefits of or affordances of a television program. Like for example, you don't have a smartphone as big as a television screen. So sometimes you still want to watch content on a larger screen. So the TV will still be there, but it is going to evolve. And as journalists, future journalists or journalism students here, I encourage you to continue to pursue your dreams to become a journalist because the world needs journalists. Please read the report that I shared because you will see there how important the work of journalists is. Thank you for your question, Guru.
Thank you for your motivation, Professor Marco Polo. Because sometimes students or people really want to be telegram rather than journalists. Some people want to become popular.
Yeah, many children now when you ask them, what do you want when you grow up? Oh, I want to be famous.
Yeah.
I want to be an influencer. I want to be a content creator. How many want to become a journalist? Very few.
Yeah.
It's hard, it's challenging, it's dangerous. Yes, but it is also fulfilling. Yes, you're contributing to society. And yes, because you're documenting history. Because journalists are historians. You document what is happening. It's very important to become a journalist.
Thank you, Prof. Anyone?
Another one from the chat box.
Chat box? Gisela.
Gisela.
From Gisela.
Sir, how can an advertisement pop up in our newsfeed when we don't even search? Okay, well, that's what you call, that's the power of algorithm. That's the power of that's the power of advertising that they embed in your platform, in your social media accounts. You can turn off the notifications. You can also use what is called ad blockers if you don't want to see advertisements. But try to limit your subscriptions to the pages that you like and follow. Because whenever you like or follow a page, or you agree to get notifications from them, whenever new content is uploaded, it appears on your smartphone. You know, I did a study myself, and there are studies before. Can you guess how many times you hold your cell phone in an hour? Type your answer. How many times do you hold your cell phone in an hour? Anyone? Almost all day. Uncountable. I like that answer. You know, we hold our cell phones like 15 to 20 times an hour. If you're in a class, that's why I tell my students, you know, if you want to concentrate in our class, turn off the notifications. Turn off your cell phone. Put it in silent mode. Because the notification, they keep popping up. You know, if you have so many social media accounts, you follow so many people online, the notifications are endless. So I try to limit the notification settings. And that's also a way to limit the advertising. That is very annoying, I know, many times. Thank you, Gisela, for your question. Okay, I was thinking to buy a new case and the advertisement just pop up. Okay, well, thank you for your clarification. Yeah, as I said, no, it's predictive analytics. The companies behind these platforms, they're assuming, they're thinking, they're predicting that you will buy this stuff. That's why they're trying to push it to you. They're trying to promote it to you. Okay. So advertising, there's obtrusive and unobtrusive. Obtrusive is that they interfere with what we're doing. And it's very common in many platforms because that's how they make money. No? The more eyes that get to see, the more clicks that you make on their advertisement, that's how they make money. So they will try to find a way to appear on your screen as often as possible.
Thank you for your answering.
Yeah.
Prof, I have one question, perhaps the last question before we end the sessions. What should we prepare as a communication people, as a future graduate communication, here, my students, all the participants, so we can be competitive in global?
Okay, I like the question, and I will answer that by quoting a futurist. Okay, I will quote Alvin Toffler. I will paraphrase what he said. Okay, Alvin Toffler said, the illiterates of the 21st century are not those who cannot read or write. The illiterates are those who cannot learn, relearn, and unlearn. If you want to be future ready, I typed it in the chat box. Be ready to relearn, be ready to learn, and also be ready to unlearn things that you are used to. When we continue to try to learn, we will be ready for the future. Terima kasih.
Terima kasih, Prof. Good answer. Okay, before ending our session, may I kindly encourage everyone to open your cameras for a virtual group photo. Arasi, Deana, Muhammad Farhan, Chatri, Beatrice, open your camera. Okay, to Irpo yang akan foto ya, dari Irpo, silakan memandu.
Do you still have classes next week, or this is your last day of class?
I'm sorry. Yes, next week we will still have a class for global media. Yeah.
This is our last. This is our last day in the university. We will go now on our holiday. Because you know Christmas. It's Christmas here in the Philippines, so
yeah.
Okay, maybe let's ready to take the photo.
Okay, to Irpo.
Yes, thank you, Miss Miss Marta, and also Prof. Marco. Thank you so much for your time for today's sessions. And we will take a picture. It has 2 slides, so please give your best smile. I will take the first picture for the first slide first. I will count from 1 to 3, so give your best smile. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Smile, please. Okay, one more time for the next slide. 1, 2, 3. Smile, please. Okay, I'll give back the screen to Miss Marta.
Okay, thank you from International Office LSPR. I thought the photo will be shared, yeah, to the class, yeah. Okay, now there you have it. That's the end of our first LSPR Omni session for this semester. I would like to give our biggest thanks to our honorable guest speaker, Professor Marco, and to our beloved Londoners for attending today's LSPR Omni session. We all look forward to see you again in our next LSPR Omni session, which will be next Friday. For more information about the schedule and topics of LSPR Omni, please visit our Instagram account at lspr.international or register online at tinyo.com/LSPR Omni 2021. Please give applause, virtual applause to Professor Marco Polo, class. It's a great
Terima
opportunity
kasih.
for us.
Selamat liburan dan
Selamat
stay safe semuanya.
Thank you,
Stay
sir.
healthy,
Okay,
stay
stay healthy.
safe, and
Yes.
have
Thank
a
you,
nice
sir.
day.
I hope I can
Have
visit
a nice
Indonesia in the
holiday.
future.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you,
Okay.
sir.
Thank you, sir.
Bye.
Sir.
Thank you, sir.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you, class.
Ma'am Marta, sorry, I would
Yeah.
like to ask.
Please, Janice, what do you want to ask?
Sorry, ma'am, I would like to ask about where we will submit this summary because
Oh,
yeah,
you can put it into G Drive.
and then
Okay,
I will
class.
share the link to your email, yeah, ma'am.
Yeah, share the link to my email, Jenny.
Okay, thank you,
Thank
ma'am.
you.